What's going on? This is my second take of K3 Mark III review. I had to redo it because I was wearing this shirt. You see that? This is Olympus EM10 Mark III. Kind of messes with the video. It looked fine on the back of the camera, but then... anyway, this is about the K3 Mark III. I switched shirts. Jose Canseco. This camera is on steroids. That's why I'm wearing this. All right, let's get into it. I got some notes here. We'll try to make this a quick video. Let's start off by saying I'm really happy with this camera so far. I've had it for 3 weeks. I did a first impressions video, so since I've had it 3 weeks, I feel like I could give a pretty honest review on it. So let's do that now. First off, if you buy this camera, the first thing you're going to notice is the grip is outstanding. I was using the KP. I bought it a couple of months before I bought this. And I didn't really like the grip on it. The buttons were kind of out of place, a couple of millimeters off and stuff, but this just, the grip just falls right into your hand. It's so comfortable to use. The button placement is perfect. No complaints there. Everything's your thumb there, your thumb there. It just all fits like a glove, I guess. Let's talk next. The next thing that I really noticed about this camera that I really enjoy is just the screen. The resolution is just incredible looking images on the back of the screen when you're going through there. It's also new. It does have a touch screen now. And typically I don't like touch screens, but I found this one very nice to use. I actually use it. I'm shooting with the EM10 right now, but I never used the touch screen on that. So the other cameras, I've had a couple other cameras that had touchscreen that I didn't really use at all. But this one is just so responsive, I end up using it quite a bit more than I would. So some people complain about the new menu system, or just the whole screen in general. Everything's a little bit too small. I'm not at that point yet. I maybe pretty soon. My vision's not quite as good as it used to be, but I can see where somebody would say that if their vision isn't that good, but I don't have a problem with it right now. And I was talking about the menu, and there's just so much packed in here. That's why it took me a couple of weeks, or almost 3 weeks, to do a good review on this, because there's so much packed in there, and it's a new menu system as well, and that is just one of the cool things about this. And packed into that menu is everything is customizable. All these buttons are customizable. This is the most customizable camera I've ever used, and I think it's probably the most customizable camera on the market. It truly, you could turn your K3 Mark III into your own personal camera, like it was just made for you, just by customizing everything in here. It's outstanding. This camera is so different than the previous K3 models. I'm not sure why they called it the K3 Mark III, just because it's so different than the K3 Mark I or II. Just a totally different camera. It's got 4K, it's got the new menu system, it's got the new Viewfinder. It's just got all this new stuff. So I'm not sure why they kept that. Well, I guess they kept the name because they couldn't call it the K1, because there's already K1, there's already K5, a K7, so they're not going to call it a K9. So let's see here. The weight on this thing is great. It's not too heavy. It has a little bit more weight than if you'd had like the KP or the K70, but it's not too heavy at all. It's lighter weight than the K1, obviously, but it's just perfect weight. And with this lens, if you're going to buy this camera, you should get this lens, the 55 to 300 PLM lightweight lens, and it's balanced really nice on here. I'll go over this lens a little bit later when I go over some of the AF stuff. The battery in here is the same battery that you might be using with your K3 1 or 2 or the K1. So same battery, which I have no complaints about, and I was happy to see that. So now I have the K3 and the K1. I could take them out together and bring a couple of batteries, and it will work in either camera. So that's a great thing to have. We'll talk about the Viewfinder now. When they released the camera, they were, I don't know, I wouldn't call them marketing, but they were going off on how the Viewfinder is superb and all this stuff. And it is, it's great. I look through it, and sometimes I'm like, I really don't see much of a difference. And then other times I'll be like, it just kind of depends what scene's going on. It's like, wow, that is a ton brighter, or whatnot. So it is an improvement. I don't know if it's as huge of an improvement as they said, but it is a really nice viewfinder. Something that I don't like about the viewfinder, it's the same on the K1, but on the KP and the K70, there's a feature in there that I like using because you would think I was born on a boat. It's the leveling system. So all the settings I can't show you really, but the settings on the bottom are in green, but the level is up on top, and it's grayed, so it doesn't really show up well. That's something I do not like, and a lot of people complain about the autofocus. When they illuminate, they're not bright enough, and it's hard to tell which one they're actually using. Let's see. I guess we'll talk about AF then. So I'm not a huge action sports guy, so on previous cameras I didn't use it too often. I found myself doing some birds and such with the KP, so I had a little experience with that and some of the other cameras. But this one, you'll definitely get more hits than you would with any of the previous Pentax models. I think you'll be very happy with it. I don't get too many misses at all. I was kind of shocked at that, but there are a few in there, but not many. That brings me to this. This shutter on this thing is ridiculously fast, and I'm not sure. I would say it's too fast. It's too fast for me. Here we go. These are JPEGs. It did slow down there. Let's see how long it takes the buffer to clear. It's still clearing. But it's just too fast. I mean, it's clear now. But I'm not going to be holding it down for that long, but I think the drive, I hadn't gone down to a slower drive speed, but you have that option. It's just, I don't want to go home and have 500 pictures when I've just pressed the shutter a few times during whatever I'm shooting. So it's incredible how fast it is. Let's see. So image quality, let's talk about that. I had the KP, I had the K70. When I compared the K70 and the KP, you really couldn't see a difference as far as ISO performance until you got up over, or like ISO 6400. You could see a slight bit of difference. The KP was slightly better, and when you went up higher in ISO, the KP would perform better. But it was all ISOs that probably nobody would shoot at anyway, so they were very similar in that regard. But this one is even better. I find it depends on the scene, though. I found myself getting up to like a stop and a half better than what I thought from the KP and the K70. But other times I'm like, it's just like half a stop, maybe a stop better. So it just kind of depends on the scene. But it is a lot better than those other cameras. I found myself being able to use ISO 12800 on this camera with those other models, KP and K70. It would be real stretch for me to want to go up to ISO 6400. So it's going to take me some time to get used to saying to myself, no, you could push that ISO a little bit farther. So I'm still having a little trouble with that in my mind, remembering that. So so this camera is so much better than the K70 and the KP. I sold them both. I was going to keep them, and then after I used this for a little bit over a week, I was like, you know what? Those are just going to collect dust. This is just that much better of a camera. So I'm not sure. Yeah, it's just really great camera. So I sold both those, got half the money back for this. So that was good. Let's talk about the video real quick. It's got 4K video, which I was really happy about since I do shoot videos and such. And the 4K video is really good. If you're a Pentax user, most of us don't use video, but if you do, I let me talk about Pentax video. Everybody says it's crummy, but I've shot like what 400 YouTube videos, and probably 30% of those were shot with Pentax cameras. And it's not like super incredible, but it does the job. If you're looking for just video that does the job, Pentax has always been fine in my opinion. I actually think some of their mic, their audio on camera was better than a lot of the other cameras that I use. But yeah, so the 4K video is outstanding, and you'll need the DC motor lenses working. You know, they don't really work that well, so you're gonna have to wait for another PLM lens to come out, or you can just lock down the focus. But the 1650 millimeter DA-Star PLM was announced a while ago. They need to release that. I'll probably be buying it, so I'm sure that will be out soon. I guess last but not least, this is the best crop sensor camera I've ever used, and I think it's the best. Looking at other stuff, I think it's the best crop sensor camera out there. That's my opinion. I've not used a lot of the other ones, but looking at specs and whatnot, and just knowing that, you know, the Pentax system, just the grip and the button layout and the, you know, the shake reduction in the camera and the weather sealing and just the solidness of Pentax cameras, it's hard to beat. If you are not a Pentax user and you're watching this video, are you going to buy this camera? It'd be interesting to see how many, if there's any new people that are wanting to buy a Pentax camera that have not shot Pentax before just because of this camera. But if you do, I think you'll be very happy with this compared to a Canon or Nikon. I'm not sure if you are, leave a comment below if you're going to buy this and try it out, or I don't know if any place will have it for rent, but if they do, give it a shot, real look. So yeah, go up $2,000 is a lot of money, but I think it's worth it. Fantastic. Buy this lens, this 55 to 300 PLM, if you don't have it, and you're going to buy this camera, because this stays on my camera pretty much all the time. I've used other lenses, but this one is just so solid. The autofocus is fast and silent, especially if you're doing action sports. Buy this lens. I think it's 400, maybe 500. Can't remember the actual price. So I'm going to be going on a little vacation out to the Rocky Mountain National Park. I'm going to be taking this sucker and the K1, and like I said, they both have the same battery and all that stuff. So go ahead and subscribe. I'll have some videos coming up with some images and stuff. It should be, I hadn't been out there, or maybe I was like 5 when I went out there, so different scenery for me, and it should be a lot of fun. So also, if you're interested in K3, interested in getting it, or you just want to see some more images, I created a Facebook group, which I'll link below, and you could go ahead and, you know, add to that group, and you can check out images or ask questions. There's several members in there that would easily answer any of your questions if I'm not online at that time. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to leave it at that, man. Go out there and buy this camera. You'll really enjoy it. Thanks for watching. Go ahead and subscribe.